We are here to discuss one of the main, if not the main, security issue at the eastern border of the European Union. And that is hybrid warfare. It's a new kind of warfare. It's the conflict that is extended by states with multiple methods of warfare. And they're targeting, of course, the populations. It's based on division and creating destabilization. And to discuss this topic, we have two experts with us from Georgia. George Tsereteli, the Vice President of the Assembly of the OSCE, and of course from Spain, Pedro Agramunt, the Chairman of the group of the EPP Group in the Council of Europe. Gentlemen, first of all, the hybrid threats that we're talking about needs, of course, a hybrid security policy. Where are we for the time being? What are our responses? How can we respond to this very new kind of challenge that we're facing at the border? Mr. Agramunt.
Thank you, Johan. Well, first of all, I must say that I represent an international organization established as one for peace and democracy. The Council of Europe is not in the business of hard security. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, which, by the way, I will chair since next January after being elected as the official candidate of the EPP Group, has to be focused, above all, on states outside Europe through initiatives to improve the situation on the ground, as we made in Tunisia after the overthrow of dictatorship. Thanks to our expertise in delivering peace, democracy, human rights, and rule of law, we still continue to play a major role in encouraging the adoption and maintenance of liberal values across Europe. And all this exactly coincides with the foundational principles of EPP, based on a Europe with the humanistic fundamental values of tolerance, freedom, and responsibility. These foundational principles will guide my work along the presidency of the Assembly too.
Mr. Tsereteli, what is your opinion? How can we strengthen our security regarding hybrid warfare?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, dear participants. Actually, we're discussing most interesting and vulnerable topic. We are living in the era of, very unfortunately, living in the era of warfare, and especially hybrid warfare. And I think Ukraine conflict was one of the vivid examples how dangerous is this weaponry. In fact, we all know that hybrid warfare is not a novelty, but the new at this stage is a scale and a coordination and how fast and swiftly it's working. So I'd like to say that Russia really weaponized all the information system, and it was very clear, as I said, in Ukraine. But it's also very time to elaborate security policy for Europe, because not only theoretical exercises are important, but it's very important also to have a clear plan, what we can do. And this policy should be guided by two questions, the main questions. What are weaknesses that opponent at this moment, Russia, could exploit? And how Europe, how our societies could respond to that, and what we have to do. Of course, at the center of this policy, it should be the special principles, which are very, very important, and of course, vulnerabilities of the Europe. And here, I'd like to agree with experts who already elaborated some recommendations that very important is deterrence, it's a resilience, and also defense to front this assault of Russia and the usage of hybrid warfare instruments.
What about the international violations of the international law, notably in recent times by Russia? How can we strengthen the respect for international law? Mr. Agramunt.
Well, the question is that we approach an increasingly multipolar world. And the key issue here is power. If power is distributed more or less evenly among the great powers, or whether there are sharp power asymmetries. An unbalanced multipolarity, where there are power asymmetries among the members, is likely to generate more fear and concerns for maintaining international order. Europe was multipolar in the 19th century, but the concept of Europe brought a peace which was not shattered for a century. I have always deplored the war of aggression, occupation and annexation, followed by Russia in Ukraine, also in Georgia and other countries. But we shouldn't misunderstand the importance of dialogue, including in the most difficult situations. Even at the height of the Cold War, in the age of the containment policy, Western countries used diplomacy and engaged with the Soviet Union when such a strategy were necessary. This policy of containment also called for selective engagement with Russia when made good sense and was vital to the national interest of the West. In consequence, we cannot reject diplomacy because it may imply severe security repercussions for the global community.
We have only a couple of minutes left, gentlemen. What about propaganda and disinformation? Notably, the Ukrainian scenario, that was very clear, but also in the Baltic regions, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, there also you have the problem of Russian-controlled media, for instance, that are really pushing forward certain kind of information to the local population. Is it working really, that kind of disinformation? Do you have in Georgia, for instance, do you have experience with this?
Of course, as we said, it's a reality that Russia is using information system quite well for its goals to keep and to restore influence in its neighborhood and also challenge Europe. And first of all, countries who are in the neighborhood of Russia, which shares some countries of pro-Soviet past with Russia and also linked with the economic ties, who host the major local Russian-speaking population. And first of all, you mentioned, for instance, Baltic countries and other countries, which are Kazakhstan, Belarus, and of course, South Caucasus. They are very vulnerable to that because Russia is always using that weaknesses of the countries. In some countries, that could be corrupted governments, in some countries, could be a level of democracy.
How can we cope with it? How can we put something against this?
So, I'd like to say that Russia is investing a lot in media outlets, to reach populations in different countries, and it's effective, and it's working quite efficiently, as I said. And about Georgia, I'd like to just to say this example. In Georgia, Russia's propaganda is quite effective. Unfortunately, last NDI polls showed that trends of support of European future of Georgia
is downwards.
It's dropping, not maybe so significantly. We are quite hopeful with that, but unfortunately, support of Russia Eurasian concept it's increasing. Yeah. So it's very evident that those very strong instruments are working quite effectively in our society.
Mr. Agrand, how can we cope with that propaganda war at the border right now?
From our point of view, the Council of Europe, I believe that the central challenge we face today is to ensure that we engage the hearts and minds of all civilians in the member states. The Council of Europe has improved soft security by protecting and promoting its value of peace, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law among its member states. Those are values of Western society and the same values of the EPP political family. Council of Europe's existence has always contributed to political stability and to maintain civilized standards of behavior within states. This is the approach, and we should always operate when we can, be confident that we shall be able to leave a better legacy, a better Europe for our children.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you're busy networking a lot, but please, let's thank these two gentlemen for their expert insights into the problem. Thank you, and I see you in a couple of minutes again.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you very much.